Why did I stop selling the brand Carhartt? I know this video might trigger some people and I want to come with a disclaimer before everything starts. My name is Spencer. I've been working in vintage and secondhand clothing reselling since 2012. I've predominantly been working on my own website, but I did have a lot of success working on ASOS Marketplace's platform. In the last year, I've had to sort of change directions and navigate myself in a different way. Now on YouTube, wanting to give value, but also having a website under a small capacity. But the question, why don't I sell Carhartt anymore? And why did I even stop in the first place? For those that don't know, Carhartt is the American brand, the one that is home of the workwear, the Detroit jackets, the carpenter pants, the double knees, the workwear by a performance purpose basis. For those that know about the Carhartt FR, which stands for flame retardant, these are for sort of like firefighters. It was made for purpose wear. And when I started in 2012, I never navigated towards that brand, but it did come around in the form of Harrington jackets. So one big part of what we used to do is buy in bales. We used to buy a lot of stock. Carhartt would come in with Dickies. I used to get Dickies trousers and Carhartt would come as a byproduct of that. But I never actually went out of my way to source the brand Carhartt or to source it in order to resell for a higher price. And I guess any way this comes across is going to sound like a little bit of like micro resentment, but the reality of it is the last 5 years this brand has got blown so far out of proportion that the places you used to buy it from to resell are now on steroids inflated. You used to be able to buy Carhartt from Screwfix, which is a website that your dad probably uses to buy tools, and he could buy Carhartt jackets for like £25. Over the years, the demand changed, and yes, celebrities had a big impression on that, just the overall word of mouth of Carhartt, its brand's representation. One really cool fact about Carhartt is it hasn't actually changed its logo since 1971. They really had some cool tags beforehand, but you can almost tell the age of the brand based on the sort of tags that it came from. Now the issue that you have is that yes, the carpenter double knees may be a staple piece, the Detroit jacket may be a staple piece. The issue I have is with the over obsession of the inflating the price, and it really does come from demand, and demand is there. As a result of that demand, the suppliers and the wholesalers start to sell things for a lot more. There's people that sell grade B to C knackered Carhartt double knees for about £17 a pair wholesale. And that means that you have to sell them for about £50 to £60 in those conditions to get a good, reasonable relative rate of return on your investment. And that just really doesn't sit as an ecosystem of something I'd want to do. I wouldn't want to buy a brand that's been inflated because of the demand, and now I have to buy it for more in order to sell it for more, because I'm just a part of this perpetuated problem, which is fueling the brand's almost hierarchy of price. And I'm not against brands having hype. The thing is that I have as an issue, maybe just from coming from in fashion, and I mean this with respect, and I mean this with respect to everybody. I see a lot of trends before they even come around. Carhartt is something that I was selling in 2014 in the same way I was selling Adidas and the same way I was selling Nike. It was just a byproduct of the brands that I was finding from the bales that I was buying. To go out of my way to buy a specific brand because of the demand just doesn't sit with me as a mindset, as a process. I genuinely believe that if you are buying stuff that everybody wants, then you are having to pay so much more, sacrificing a lot of the profit that you'd potentially make just because you're buying something that everybody wants. What's funny about the wholesaling prices is that some of them are probably the retail prices from about 5 or 6 years ago, which is insane that it's taken that turn. But Spencer, why don't you actually like selling Carhartt? What's the reason and the point behind it outside of that? I don't like selling shit that everybody just flocks to and loves. It's that false sense of thinking that you know what's trending. Whereas I understand like being in a business position, but from a business standpoint, my perspective would be more so to go look for brands that aren't hype yet and wait until they turn around. You wouldn't buy a stock on the stock market if it was in the green flags of like plus 20%. You'd wait till it dips in order to buy it again. And that's my logic approach with Carhartt. I look at it as like a stock market investment. And right now, the stock market price of Carhartt is on steroids. It's all the way to the moon. It's gone past the moon. And until it comes back down to ground zero, comes back to a normal level, which may be never, it's going to be something that I won't ever really look to pursue. And there's other brands that I have the same sort of situation with. It comes down to this point again. I understand being a vintage and secondhand seller, distributing these brands and giving them that sort of new lease of life, saving them from landfill. Some of these brands even re-archived a lot of their stuff off the back foot of the success from vintage. Helly Hansen used to do it. They used to bring stuff out in Urban Outfitters after seeing that people love their jackets again. That is a common case. Tommy Jeans did the exact same thing. Urban Outfitters was like this little funnel in place for all these brands to go, quick, people are buying the vintage version of it. Let's like funnel out thousands of items quickly, just the same stuff, but modern. And I know that Carhartt's done a lot of that, but what I have is almost the same thing that I have with like the North Face. The North Face is a great brand because Gore-Tex is actually material that you wear for purpose of what it does for you. And the Nupsies are probably great coats, but you probably wouldn't climb Everest in a Nupsi. What North Face's point was being a brand that was fit for clothes for purpose. The Carhartt is a brand that's fit for workwear purpose. And there's people wearing workwear stuff out of a workwear purpose. I guess I'm sounding like I'm senile old men with the sort of mindset, but the main point that pivots me is when everybody's looking at one thing, I'm making sure that I'm running the other way, because guess what? If you're queuing up for one thing, I guarantee you're missing something over there. And that's just the mindset that I have. Carhartt, I can respect the hustle, and the fact that the brand has not changed its logo in over 40 years tells you that people buy this brand for a reason. There's a reason why Carhartt is where it is, and it's at this good point. But the issue that I have is, and no offense to everybody, but the hype beast culture around almost overinflating the Carhartt and it being like this staple piece that everybody has just feels too overkill for me. If I started selling Carhartt now, it's like that's like a 101 starter pack vintage kit, and I think that that needs to be a mold to kind of break. When I say challenge the narrative, what I mean is don't go and sell something that you know everybody's selling, because you're not going to really make as much profit. Whereas if you try and sell something that people aren't selling, you will make more profit because there's less demand, there's less interest, but it's a lower price. And I just live by that basis. I live by that mindset because that's genuinely what's more profitable and more successful in a business. So if you're not looking to be in a business capacity, keep going on the Carhartt, keep going on the other brands that I'm not going to mention because we'll save for other videos. It's all love with brands like Carhartt, honestly. To come from this without sounding too resentful, I've sold the brand when it was at a reasonable price that I could make a good relative amount of profit and I could charge people by not taking the piss. Whereas if I'm selling a Detroit Carhartt jacket for 160 quid because it's cost me £35 a piece at wholesale, I think that's part of the problem, and by me buying it to reselling it is continuing to perpetuate this problem that I don't agree with. That's where I sit with Carhartt. Feel free to drop a brand and ask me why I sell this or why I don't sell this, and I will go into it and I can try and expand on things more and more so. One thing I will try and do is if you ever like a topic that I've done, I'll try and expand it and come back and we'll keep doing things. And one video every day. We're just gonna see where this keeps going. I think we're on day 148. So shout out to everybody that continues to support watching the videos. It means a lot. Lots of love, guys. Have a great time. Enjoy the processes with whatever it is you're doing, okay? Lots of love, and I'll see you on the next one.